Hello, saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
I'm still back on this. You didn't eat anything, because by the time 30 days would have come around, I would have been like, yeah, I can eat whatever I want. So you've admitted the nutritional aspect was not there. You were very emotional. That'll do it. And we're women anyway, so you add that to it. I don't care what anybody says. You get those different emotions going. When did you start processing, I'm probably not going to do this?
I don't think I ever really processed it completely. There were definitely days where I was like, I'm done. Like coming into Damascus or something. Like I was getting close. Like my husband was going to pick me up in Damascus and we were going to take a couple days off. And so I was feeling those pangs as I started getting into Damascus. But I didn't ever really want to stop. But I kept revisiting. If I were to stop now, I'd be close to my husband. And if I I don't know. It's hard to say because even now, I'm not completely convinced that I ever really wanted to get off the trail.
Welcome back to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast, your premier podcast with the spotlight on section hikers. And I am your host, Julie Jester Gayheart. The spotlight this week goes to my guest, Debbi Komlo, also known as Omi, out on the trails. Omi set out to complete the Appalachian Trail this year from Georgia to Maine on March the 5th. As you will hear, what Omi had in mind and what happened were very different things. Some of you may know that Omi is the proud mom of Tara Dower, who was recently on the podcast just a few weeks ago at episode number 165. Omi enjoys being a mom to Tara and her son Derek, but didn't want that to be her only identity as she set out to hike to Katahdin. Thanks for tuning in as I chat with Omi and her unsettling decision to leave the Appalachian Trail after 60-plus days of hiking. Why did you decide that 2023 was the year that you were going to thru hike the trail?
Well, I guess number one is I've been active hiking and camping, and I did a sport in my younger years called orienteering. Spends a lot of time in the woods. I love it. And then Tara and Jonathan, of course, did their thru hike, and I loved hearing all about that. And it just got me thinking, like, that sounds like fun. And then as I was watching them on their YouTube channel, I was watching other people. And then every year after that, I was kept following people, and the bug got bigger and bigger and bigger. So I decided that that's what I was going to do. I am a mom, not only of Tara, but my son as well. I wanted to do something for myself. I didn't want to just be known as Derek and Tara's mom. And the third reason was I was turning 60, and I turned 60 in July.
That's right. That's right. Give it up for this is going to be a whoop whoop episode. So the chat, every time I do this, I need whoop whoops in the chat.
I was turning 60, and I thought, this is a really good time to get started.
So with that being said, did you pick a particular date for a reason? Because you started, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you start in early March or was it late February?
I was going to start late March. But then when I told Tara that I was going to start in late March, she was like, no, I think you should start in early March because it will just give you more time to make it there before October. And I was like, okay. So I just picked March the 5th.
What was your preparation like Or was there any preparation to get yourself ready for the hike, not only physically, but mentally?
What's the name of that book where they talk a lot about mental preparation for the trail?
Oh, from the trek, Appalachian Trails.
Yes. So I read that book. I went out and did hikes. I started going to the gym and lifting weights and doing stair steppers and all of that stuff. So I was in pretty good shape. I needed to lose weight, which happened on the trail, but overall, physically, I was in a good place. And then mentally, I felt like I was in a good place because I thought I wouldn't have any trouble with it mentally. I read the book and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And that was it.
I want you to know, I've already put them up, that people are giving the whoop whoops for the 60 Club. And Tangent Trails, I'm going to throw this back up again. He says, 60 ain't nothing but a number.
It's so true because I feel like I keep saying I'm 60, but I don't feel like I'm 60. I still feel like I'm 40s.
And Stella says, sounds like you were in darn good shape and great prep. So you mentally got yourself ready, you physically got yourself ready, and you did go out on a shakedown hike. Mm-hmm. And I think you realized maybe something on that shakedown hike. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I did my shakedown hike from Max Patch into Hot Springs. I picked that section because I've been on that section before, and I was going by myself for the very first time. Other times I'd been around other people. So this was the first time that I was by myself, carrying all my stuff. I got out there the first day. The hike was fantastic. The whole weekend was fantastic, except for the fact the first day I realized I was lonely. I was filming it for my YouTube channel, and you can just talk to the phone so much and you weren't getting a response back. So I found that I was really lonely, and it was unusual for me because I think of myself as an introvert. And so that was like a shock. So then the second day I got up, everything went really well. I was really happy. And the second day I got all the way to, Deer Mountain Shelter, I think it is. It's the last shelter before you get into Hot Springs. And nobody was there. And I'm like, I am not spending another night by myself out here. I wasn't scared. I was just lonely. So I hiked into Hot Springs.
This is vitally important because this is on your shakedown hike. What was the time frame between the shakedown hike and I'm going March the 5th?
Want to say it was in January.
So you had some time to think about this before that launch date is what I'm going to call it, on March the 5th. Well, let me ask you another question. On March the 5th, were you like, I am going to Katahdin? Was that your priority?
That was my end goal. That was it. I was going all the way and it was going to happen. No doubts.
Let's talk about March 5th. You're there with Tara, your daughter, and her husband, and they spend the first week or so, maybe a little less. You hike the approach trail. You're at Springer Mountain. You guys are having a good time in Georgia, or are you? So talk about that first week with them.
I was lucky enough to have Tara and Jonathan with me. That was a lot of fun. We had absolutely beautiful weather, absolutely beautiful. And it was great. The 5 days went by super fast. Sometimes people get out there and they were like, oh my gosh, what have I done? It was definitely a challenge for me. The day-to-day hiking and of course it being Georgia was a challenge, but I never was like, I can't do this. I was all in and I was having such a good time. I had Tara and Jonathan, and then I had my very first hiking partner, Donna, who I love. We were together for 5 days and it went very fast.
In that 5 days, do you feel like you were getting in your groove? To me, it takes 5 days. I've always said this when I go out. The first day, I'm fumbling around, like, where's all my stuff? I'm trying to get organized in the evening. Okay, it took me forever to get my tent up. And then after a few days, you get into this rhythm. So it sounds like you were starting to become familiar with your new home, which is your tent, become familiar with the house, which is on your back. So Tara and Jonathan leave. Now what?
Tara and Jonathan left and Donna left as well. So I went into, I forget the name of the town, but I went into a town and took a 0 day. The weather was bad, so I stayed an extra night and then I did slack packing.
So how was that?
It was great. It was beautiful weather. I felt really good. I saw people that I had recognized from the first 5 days. And yeah, it was great. And then I stayed in a shelter that night and there was tons of people there. So everything was great.
Why did you decide to daily vlog?
It gave me something like my family was really interested, Tara and Jonathan for sure. And then my husband was very interested and my mom was always watching. And so I had people that were watching me. To vlog was not to gain followers. It was more to document that whole journey for myself. And because I started off the journey, it was to do something for myself. And because I turned 60 and I'm not just a grandmother and I'm not just a mother, I wanted to document that whole process for myself.
When I was watching your vlogs, even early on, I noticed that you were really emotional, Omi.
I'm not really an emotional person. I was at Around the Bend Hostel and I was just an emotional mess. It wasn't like me. It was just, that is not a reflection of my daily life. It was very strange.
It's interesting you said that's not a reflection of your daily life. Nothing on the Appalachian Trail is a reflection. When you're out there hardcore doing a long section hike or through hiking, it's almost like you take on this whole nother persona or something that you didn't know you had inside of you. And the reason I ask that is I get really emotional on the trail. There's just something about being out on the trail. It pulls at your heartstrings. As you reflect back now, do you know what that was?
Not really. The only thing that I can come up with was I was really struggling nutritionally. I am a super picky eater. I like what I like and I don't like what I don't like. And you can't convince me. And I'll give you an example. I don't like oatmeal. I would not, absolutely would not even try it on the trail because I don't like it. I was struggling nutritionally. And during the time that I was on the trail, which was a little over 60 some days, I had lost almost 30 pounds.
Omi, that's a lot for a female. That is okay. If I was interviewing a guy tonight, I would be like, it's nothing. But for a female, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like I didn't need to lose weight. I definitely needed to lose weight. I was really not doing well. Even I recognized that I wasn't doing well. And when Tara came out and visited me the first time, she was like, oh, this is not good. This is really not good.
It's a good weight loss program, but you have to eat to hike.
I was trying to eat a lot. I was trying to do a lot of different things. Like I was trying to maybe eat eggs in the morning, like hard-boiled egg or like a protein bar. I was trying a lot of different things and nothing was really sticking. At the end, when I got off the trail for my thru hike, I was pretty much down to Snickers bars. Because everything, even stuff that I liked, I didn't like anymore. I didn't like it on the trail.
Were you hungry?
No, I wasn't hungry and I never got hiker hunger.
That was going to be my next question because you were out there for 60 days. Most people are like, let's go into town. Let's eat.
I wanted to go into town to eat because I knew that I needed to go into town to eat because I needed to make up for and you can't make up all those days. You just can't. But it was like, oh, great. I'm going to be able to have pizza and 2 hamburgers and French fries and whatever I wanted, which was fantastic.
So were you carrying food and you just didn't eat it?
And it was totally wrong. And it was bad. But I would have food. And at the end of the day, I would be tired. Like, this didn't happen very often, but this is an example. I would get tired and I didn't want to cook my meal. And I didn't want to take my reserves from breakfast and lunch the next day. So I wouldn't eat anything. And I wasn't hungry. So I would just go to bed. Bad.
Omi, you have shut the chat down. They're saying nothing.
It was really bad.
Okay, so day 63, you decided I'm no longer hiking. When did that decision start? Processing.
I know. It was really bad. And fortunately, I'm a strong person. Oh, there's Donna. Donna's there, young at heart.
Hey, Donna.
There she
Everybody
is.
Give it a whoop whoop for Donna. She made it.
She's my favorite hiking partner.
Awesome.
What was the question?
I almost forgot myself. I'm still back on this. You didn't eat anything because by the time 30 days would have come around, I would have been like, yeah, I can eat whatever I want. So you've admitted the nutritional aspect was not there. You were very emotional. That'll do it. And we're women anyway. So you add that to it. I don't care what anybody says. You get those different emotions going. When did you start processing, I'm probably not going to do this?
I don't think I ever really processed it completely. There were definitely days where I was like, I'm done. Like coming into Damascus or something. Like I was getting close. Like my husband was going to pick me up in Damascus and we were going to take a couple days off. And so I was feeling those pangs as I started getting into Damascus, but I didn't ever really want to stop. But I kept revisiting. If I were to stop now, I'd be close to my husband. And if I I don't know. It's hard to say because even now, I'm not completely convinced that I ever really wanted to get off the trail.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so Roger, Take a Hike Fitness says, I'm speechless because I gained weight on the trail.
Yeah.
We do have a question from Alonda that I want to read for you. Did your emotions contribute to losing your appetite or losing your appetite contribute to your emotions?
Ooh. I never really connected the two. I just thought they were two separate entities. Like I wasn't hungry.
Omi, I think you were hangry all the time. Put it in the chat if you think Omi was just constantly hangry and she had no idea what was going on.
But I wasn't like actually hungry. Definitely there was days where I couldn't wait to get to lunch earlier or to eat an extra things of cheese and salami. I definitely had those days, but I wasn't ever hungry.
So listen, I'm going to put you on the spot because they're saying hangry now, hiker hangry. I know that you have supported Tara on her fastest known times. And I know that you have been the person that has made food and given her food and made her eat. Where's the disconnect, Omi? We got to know. We don't know.
I have no idea. Like, I know it's important for her when she's doing those type of races. I'm the first one trying to hand her food. I'm the first one there trying to, if she can't eat anything that's in her van or that she's already packed for the FKT, then, I'm the first one to be like, okay, here's money. Go run and get her Chick-fil-A or whatever it is. When she gets sick, when she's running, she throws up. I worry about her. And also I worry about her because her body structure really isn't like my body structure. She's much more petite. So if she loses any weight whatsoever, like right now, I was looking at pictures of her that she's taken on her Instagram on her trip across country, I'm like, gosh, she needs to gain weight.
That's interesting. I think we do that a lot to ourselves. Going back to Alonda's question, did your emotions contribute to losing your appetite, or losing appetite contribute to emotions?
I think it was maybe my emotions contributed to me losing my appetite, but my appetite was not based on my emotions. I wasn't like, I'm depressed today, so I'm just not going to eat. It was more of, I hate everything that's in my food bag. I hate it. Like, I can't eat another anything what I had in my bag. I can't eat another one of those things. I just can't.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you're not alone on that, because I'm going to unveil something. So
Okay,
every
good.
time I have come home from a long section hike, the first thing I do, if I get back to my car, I go to a gas station, I load up on junk food, and I take my food bag and I dump it in the trash can. I can't smell it. I can't look at it. I don't want anything to do with it. And some people would say, oh man, you're throwing away really good food, but I just don't want it. Food has always been my nemesis on long distance hikes, because I just, like you, I just don't want any of it. But you have to force yourself to eat it, because otherwise you're not going to be productive. So, okay, well, we're learning here. Then we get to Damascus. That's 400 and something miles. So you're on your way. You got your patterns going. You're hangry. You're starving yourself to death. Literally, that's what you were doing. Where was it what was the final decision? Where were you?
So the final decision was, we got to Chestnut Knob Shelter. And then you go down. Chestnut Knob Shelters like overlooks Burke's Garden, Virginia. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. It's just absolutely stunning up there. But the whole way up there, I was just like, I'm just not having fun anymore. And again, I think it was all nutrition. I really do, because physically I was absolutely perfectly fine. I could have gone forever. I was in great shape. It was just, that was the only piece that was missing. And I was just like, I'm just not having fun anymore. There was a couple other things leading up to that, but I'm just not having fun anymore. And I walked down the trail, and my hiking partner at the time, who was Tater, love her, she was like, okay, we'll just go into the hostel and we'll do some resupply there, and we'll stay at Burke's Garden Hostel, which is fantastic. Love it there. If you ever have a chance to go, you should go. And I got there, and it was so beautiful, and it was a beautiful day, and the weather was gorgeous, but I was not happy. And I was like, it's just time to go. It's just time to go. And so I didn't even wait. I called my husband and I said, can you pick me up tomorrow? But as soon as I made that phone call, and definitely the next day, I was like, I should be staying. But he was driving 4 hours to come get me. And so I felt guilty, like waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning and being like, don't come. It's definitely conflicting to me, because I was ready, but then I wasn't ready.
So are you still unsettled at this point?
I'm unsettled. I want to thru hike, and like, I'll catch myself making plans for 2024 and just saying to myself, like, it'll come out of the blue. I'll be like, okay, well, should I start at Springer or should I start where I left off? I've got a spreadsheet of like just a general.
Oh,
plan.
no.
I know. Like, I've got a general plan, and I'm like trying to figure out like mileage and everything. I catch myself doing those things, but then a day will pass, and then I'm like, oh, I'm okay with section hiking. I'm okay with doing 2 or 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, and that'll be fine.
You're getting some whoop whoops for the spreadsheets. So listen, Chris Coney, he's coming on next. Actually, all of you listening to this, Alpha Gal is going to be my next guest. And I don't know, I should have let the birdie out. You're going 2024, but he says 2024 and spreadsheets. I'm not 100% sure it's 2024, but he and I are going to talk about that here in a couple weeks.
We'll have to watch.
Yeah,
I'm
you
interested.
should, because he's been out section hiking this whole time. Yeah, getting ready, and you two might need to chat. So, Omi, where are we leaving this?
I have no idea. Because it changes day to day. And I keep trying, I just go out there and get back on the trail to try to help me make a decision.
Well, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, and I haven't made the decision yet.
Well, you've made Roger drool with your spreadsheets, so there's that. Stella says that everybody's a section hiker until they're a completer.
That's very true.
So there you go.
True.
So, Omi, I feel like we're leaving this. This might be my first interview that I feel like it's not complete.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's not complete either. I feel like I'm definitely not done. And what I keep telling myself is I want to do this and I'm not a quitter.
Omi, you're not a quitter. You're not a quitter anyway. You're not a quitter. You didn't quit the trail.
I didn't quit the trail.
You stepped away. You stepped away.
I really didn't have any reason. Everybody gets off the trail because they got hurt. I didn't get hurt. I got hurt later, but I didn't get hurt during my thru hike at all. I was in such good shape. Fantastic. But I was and so I kept thinking I am nutritionally starved, and that's not a good reason to get off the trail because I'm not hurt. I'm not hurt. I'm good. I can keep going. I still play mind games with myself.
So I don't even know. Omi, you have completely stumped me.
I know.
Because you know why? I just realized your story's not over.
No.
Like most people that come on here, their story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Your story really has a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are.
Yep.
And I'm not even going to call it a do-over because it's not a do-over. I mean, you've learned one of your concerns when you and I were talking is what value am I going to bring to your show? Oh my gosh, Omi.
What I do know is that I've got to get nutrition dialed in. I still don't have it. Even when I'm doing these section hikes, I don't. And I realize that this next section that I'm going to do, hopefully coming up at some point, I'm not going to cook because I don't want to cook. I'm going to try not cooking.
Cold soaking?
Time. No, I hate cold soaking. That sounds disgusting to me. I'm just not into that. But
what? Okay, I can't even go. What are you, Omi? You for the first time in 167 episodes.
I'm sorry.
No. This is awesome. This is awesome because everybody's learning by hearing this because everybody at some point in time has had injury, equipment, food, shoes, you name it. Family comes and bothers them. They go home for family reasons. They go home for this. They go home for that. And you have it. You just have to, what you have to do, you haven't quit. You just have to figure out, hang on, let's see. Roger says, your story isn't over until your story is good.
Yeah. The trail is great. It's just, I realize that I need to dial in. I need to figure out this nutrition pieces. I know that there's food out there that I will like and I can eat on the trail. I need to figure that out. I also need a hiking partner. I realize that. And not only from the fact that I was lonely when I was out there, that the first part, I realized that after I had a fall and I was out there by myself. And
well, you didn't just have a fall. Put your head down, Omi. Omi got, how many stitches did you end up getting? That looks really good though.
Yeah. Doesn't it look, it's right here.
Yeah. It looks great.
So it goes up and then into my hairline and over.
And you fell and hit your head on a rock.
I literally face planted. I'm not sure I hit a rock. The ground was hard and I didn't catch myself at all.
That doesn't even bother you because you never even brought that up tonight. That would wipe somebody out, and that was on a section hike after you already left the trail outside of Pearisburg. So that's not it.
No. Yeah, I sat around for 2 weeks just being depressed and anxious and sad and all those different emotions. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back out and do a section hike to make a final decision. Like, am I getting back on the trail? Am I not getting on the trail? I started my hike and then I got about 4 miles from Pearisburg and I fell. And I was feeling so good. Oh my gosh, I was feeling so good. Still had trouble with the nutrition part, but that's going to be a learning process. But it was like, and I literally was just cruising along, dreaming of going to Hardee's and having a hamburger. Like literally, like I still remember the last thought was,
put a bunch of hamburgers in the chat, people. Put some hamburgers in the chat.
So it was like, yay, I'm going to go. And then all of a sudden, must have tripped over something. I just completely face planted. My feet didn't catch my feet, didn't catch my hands, nothing, with the weight of the pack on my back and just completely face planted.
I'm speechless again, Omi. You've done this to me twice. I'm really proud of you, first of all.
Thank you.
I am really proud of you because you know what? You own it. You're owning all of this. You're not making excuses. You're figuring this out. And you're not done because before this evening, I didn't know where you were. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of valuable lessons were learned this evening that a lot of people can, absorb. Number one, you stumped me. You've stumped me twice. I don't want to say you stumped me. The thing is, typically when you interview somebody, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this story's not over, which means, Omi, you're going to be on here more because we got to keep up with you. I want to know what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
so,
that sounds good to me.
I'm not going to say we're going to end this.
Okay.
I'm going to say this is a to be continued. Roger says we're all proud of Omi. Tangent Trails says green chili burgers for him. And then, so lessons learned. And here's a lot of things, or one more thing that I'll say. A lot of people quit trail and never realize or acknowledge why. They just have this burning inside of what happened or what could have happened or why did this happen or why did that happen. And it sounds like to me, you're working on it. It's a work in progress. So I'm going to say this. First of all, thank you for coming on the show. Second of all, thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable and letting us have some fun, even though we're cheering you on and we want you to get your nutrition right. And I'm glad your scar has healed up nicely. And I'm glad that hasn't taken you out. And I'm just glad you decided to join us, and we're going to continue. We're not done. So that's what I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I need to talk to you more often because I get to go through these emotions and these feelings with everybody that knows what I'm talking about. Sometimes I talk to people and they have no idea. For example, I talked to my mom and I love her. But she's super supportive and she follows along, but she's glad I'm off the trail because she's okay. Yay. Check.
No, she can uncheck
my daughter's off the trail. All is good. She's safe, So,
listen, Roger renamed your channel. I don't know if you saw that. I'll throw it back up there again. New channel, Onward with Omi.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That is awesome. Roger, give yourself a whoop because that is awesome. So I'm going to end it with that.
That is fantastic.
This is to be continued. I got to know what's going on with you, and we're not going to put any closure to this whatsoever. And I don't know what it's going to look like here in a couple months when you come back, but I want to have you back on the show, and we'll see where you are 60-something days from now. So
thank you.
Don't go anywhere. You're getting all kinds of hearts. You're getting all kinds of love. So hang on. I'm going to flip the screen back over here. You guys, oh my goodness. Omi shut me down. She shut me down. She shut the chat down. And that's not a bad thing. You guys, I never know how interviews are going to go. I might send out a little bit of an agenda of some talking points. And you guys heard me at the beginning of the episode. I said, this is going to happen and this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And I'm not sure we even got past point B, which is awesome. And we're going to continue this. We're going to have Omi back in 60 days, maybe after the holiday, maybe at the beginning of the year. That's a good idea. January, Omi, mark your calendar. You're coming back. We'll get through the holidays. And you guys, wow, that's a wrap on episode number 167 of the Jester Section Hiker podcast. As always, thanks for listening or watching the podcast. Be safe out there and happy section hiking.
Hello, saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.